Hello, Elazar.
Hi,
We're on Ayin Gimel Amid Beis on the top. Amar Rava Baravuna Mitzo Mohu Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. We were learning about the yichus. If you find a foundling in the market, a child on the doorstep, you don't know who the mother or the father is. So, if you find a child is circumcised, then he doesn't have a din of an asufi. If he wasn't a kosher child, they wouldn't have malim. Mishalte adame. If you could see that his limbs had been straightened by a midwife, because they used to, so then ein bo mishum asufi, because somebody took care of him after the birth. Shayif mishcho umola kuchla. He was anointed with oil, and he has a certain medicine in his eyes. Or Rami Chumri, he has a special ring. Or Tali Pitke Vitali Kimo, he has a kameya, or a note. So again, Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. In these cases, he's not an Asufi, because you can see that there was care given to him. Tali Bedikli, if the child was hung in a basket from a palm tree, Imatyale Chaya, if a wild animal could get there, so then they obviously didn't care about him. So Yesh Bo Mishum Asufi. He would be an Asufi. Ilav, but if he was elevated above where a Chaya could get it, Ein Bo Mishum Asufi, because they cared about it. If the child was Bizardin Smicha Lamasa, if it was in a place near the city where there's not a lot of people there, well, then obviously they wanted to abandon him. He's an Asufi. Im Lav Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. If he's put where a lot of people are, they wanted him to be found. A shul near the population, Ein Bo Mishum Asufi, they wanted people to find him. Im Lav, Yesh Bo Mishum Asufi. I paired the sufli, a pit where they would put dates for animals to eat. If you find a child there and animals would come to eat there, Yesh Bo Mishum Asufi. But Bacharifa Dinara, if he was put in the middle of a river and boats crossed there, Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. If the Pashri on the sides of a river, Yesh Bo Mishum Asufi, because that's dangerous. But the Tzidi Rishus Harabim, where the public doesn't trample there, Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. Birshus Harabim, it was found in the middle of Rishus Harabim, Yesh Bo Mishum Asufi. Amar Rava, Uvishani Rava on Ein Bo Mishum Asufi. If it was famine, no. And Hadi Rabba Ayah, this thing that Rabba said, if it was famine, what was he talking about? Ilay Rishus Harabim, I did Shani Rav and Kapale. Why would that make a difference? Ella Atzid Rishus Harabim. We're talking about if it was placed in the sides. So again, my area Shani Ravon, why would it make a difference if it was famine? Afilu below Shani Ravon, it would be a protected place. Why? Well, so what's the case of Rava? Elakiyit Rava, aha. Tamar Huda, Sham Rav, Abba Ravida Barzivdi Amarav, Kozman Bishuk. As long as the child is still in the market, no one's picked the child up. The father and mother can come and say, this is our child, and we believe them. Nesaf minashuk, if somebody picked them up already, then we don't believe Eina Monim Allah. My time up. Amar Rava, Hoil v'yatzal of Shem Asufi. Since the child already has a Shem Asufi, you can't change it. But Amar Rava, B'shani Ravon, in famine times, Alpha Bishan Nesaf Nashuk, Avi v'imon Monim Allah. And it must be that the parents are telling the truth. And otherwise, an asufi found in the market is a suffix mamzer. But if he's found with all these other things, then no. We assume that he was kosher. Three people are believed if they testify right away, even though normally we don't believe them. Eloin Asufi, we just said if the parents say right away that he's ours, we believe. Chaya, a midwife. Upoiteres chavrusa, someone who patters her friend from being tameh. What are these cases? Asufi haidamor. We just said, as long as the parents identify the child quickly, we believe them. Chaya detanya chaya nemenes loymar ze yotzer rishon ze yotzer sheni. In the birth of twins, a midwife is believed to say which one's the bechor. She didn't go out of the room because maybe one went back in the uterus, one came out. Rav Yezer Omer Hulzaka al Oimda Nemenes. If she didn't turn her face away, if she turned her face away after the Leda, she's not believed. What's this case of Poteres Chavrusa? It's not. Three women sleeping in the same bed. There's blood found underneath one of the women. Kulon Tmeos. We don't know where the blood came from. But one of the women did an internal bedika and found that she's a nida, he may have a kulan taurus. That saves the other women. That's what Amrav Chizda, as long as Batkat's Makishir Veses, as long as it's checked within a certain amount of time. It means once the bedika cloth has been removed from the location, that's the shear. Tarabana. You have multiple women giving birth. So a midwife is believed to say, okay, this child came from a Kohen, this came from a Mamzer. She's believed as long as no one has spread a rumor about the child yet. Once there is a question has arisen, then she's not believed. Who is questioning? So one person came to say that there's a problem. So V'amrav Yochanan ein ir parchas mishnai. Ir can only be created with two. Ella ir tway. So two people came and said, we suspect it's a mamzer. So then she's not believed against the two of them. But if one came, she's believed. She's also not believed, even when one person creates the doubt. It's a chazaka shel kashrus. It means if there's chazaka that the child is a kosher child, then you need ear of two. Only two people can be mevatel that. But if there's no chazaka of kashrus, so chadnami me'amin. So one would be believed who brings a doubt. And the psak is we believe the chaya even if it's only if one person makes the error.
What is the chazaka now? Before it started, was there a chazaka before the pre-year came, or just we just didn't know?
No, there's no chazaka, no chazaka.
But there's no chazaka, but there's not a thing against it either.
And by the way, listen to what the Rambam says. He's becheskes kashrus aval ein lo yichus. We can't attribute him to Kohen, Levi, or Yisrael. He's kosher, but no specific yichus. Similarly, Neman bal Mekach, Loimar, Lezeh macharti, Lezeh macharti. Somebody who sells something, and let's say there were two buyers, two people who wanted to buy. The seller is believed to say, I sold it to this guy. As long as the seller still has the item with him. Then he's just like another aid without nemon. Let's see, who did he take money from? He took money from both. One I wanted to sell to him, when he just shoved the money to me and I didn't want to sell to him. And Beis Din doesn't know, it's not known to Beis Din which one he wanted to sell to. Similarly, Neman Daya Loimar, a judge is believed to say, this litigant I made guilty, and this litigant I made innocent. As long as the litigants are still in front of him. They write a document. Let's just see. Well, what did he write? It was torn up. Let's re-adjudicate the case. More answers b'shuda the dayoni. Sometimes in Beis Din, they will say, we're going to rely on the observations of the individual dayan, and they base it based on their feeling. Sometimes, if the case was adjudicated on Monday, they would have posken this way. If it's adjudicated on Wednesday, they might differ. Rav Nachman. Three people are neman to say that a child is a bechor. Chaya, the midwife, Avi v'imo. Chaya la'alter. Chaya only right away. Imo kol shiva yomi. The mother the first 7 days. Aviv la'olam. A father's believed forever. Kiditanya. Ki es bechor yakir. It's up to the father to recognize it. He's believed to tell other people he's my bechor. Zeb ben Grusha, Zeb ben Chutza. Machlokes. Chacham say you can only testify regarding him being a bechor, but to passel him, we don't listen to the father. Now, the halacha is Av huchzak sheyeled zeu beno. Neman lomar beno shu pasel. He's believed if he says that the child is a ben grusha or mamzer. Now,
because Einar makes so much of Russia.
Now, if the child has other children, then he's not believed on his grandchildren. We don't believe him because he's postling not just his son, but he's postling the grandchildren.
Why can't you say if a guy says my my son is a Ben Grushman Chalusa, he's making himself a Russia. And Adam made him as a Russia if it's not true.
We believe him. This machlokes between Rav Yehuda and Chachamim, we paskin like Rav Yehuda, that he's neman to say Ben Grush or Ben Chlutza. And the Rishonim say, Kivan sheyach loymer kol echad mibonim shubachor, vafilu b'no akotem, harei memela olam midvar sheshraya l'doim poslimin, venim shalov v'rech. Rashi doesn't paskin like that, but the Rambam paskins like Rav Yehuda, that we believe him if he makes his son of Ben Grusha. If he says he's not his son, he's a mamzer. As long as this son doesn't have children. If he has children, then he's not believed on the Ben. If the mother agrees and says that the child is not, he's not the father, and he says, oh, I was, a goy lived with me, the child is a kosher, not a mamzer. And the father cannot dispute that. Back to the Gemara. Abashola yakor l'shasuki beduki. The shasuki is where we know who the mother is, but not the father. He used to call them beduki. My beduki, ile mishaboit kinis imo. We asked the mother, and the omeres lekosher nivalti, the father was kosher, nemenes. So, is who we paskin like Keman, Kerab, Mamliel? Well, Tanina Chadazina, we already learned this. It's not Haisa Mu'beres. If we have a single woman who's pregnant, Va'armelo Mativa Shalu Berzeh. Who's the father? Armelem Ish Ploin of a Koyenu. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer, Omer Nemenes. They said, we believe her. Rabbi Yeshua Merlome Pianu Chayim. You don't rely on that. And on Rabbi Damar Shmalach, Rabbi Gamliel. So what did Abba Shaul add here? Chad al-Hachshirbo. Number one, it's about her. We don't assume that she had bia with someone that is puzzled to her, and she remains kosher l'kuhuna. V'chad al-Hachshir b'vita. That if she has a daughter, she could also marry Kohen. Hanich lamanda omar sh'ledivrei hamachshir ba poisel b'vita. That the nemanas on herself is not enough to be machshir her daughter. So then it's a chidush that she's believed both on herself and on her daughter. El lamanda omar l'divrei hamachshir ba machshir b'vita. So it's a davar pashut. Abba Shaul mayos lashmina. What was the chiddush of Abba Shaul? So Abba Shaul adifa, Rabbi Gamliel. He went further. Mahasav avamina by the pnuya sharav ksherim etzla. Regarding a single woman, most men are kosher. The only people who are not kosher for are mamzerim. Aval heicha sharav psulim. But by a married woman, where most are puzzled for her, maybe Ema Shalom. She wouldn't be Nemenes that she was Nivel kosher. So Tzricha, Abba Shaul is a chiddush. Amarav Allah Abba Shaul.
Yeah.
You go to Arusa.
No.
Let's say she was not a married woman. Somebody had given her Kidushin. And she claims that the child was from the one who gave her Kidushin. Or let's say she's a single woman, and most of the people in that town can marry kahuna. So that would be the chiddush of Abba Shaul. Mishnah. Kol asur and lava bakal. All the people that you can't, like a mamzer and shasuki. Now, mamzer is a vadai. and a Shasuki is Sofek. So, Mutar and Lova Zebazeh. They're all allowed to marry each other. Because Bakal Vade they can't, but Bakal Sofek they can. But a mamzer, the halacha is a mamzer cannot marry a shasuki because the shasuki is a suffix. We learned that yesterday. Or they're both sveikim, they're also to each other. Rav Yehuda Oyser, Rav Yehuda says that they're prohibited. Rav Yezer Omer Vadon bevadoim, a vadai mamzer can marry vadai mamzer. Mutter aval vadon besveiken, or sveiken bevadon, sveiken besveiken oser. We paskin like Rabbi Yezer. A mamzer cannot marry a shasuki or an asufi. Eiler asfekis, shasuki asufi v'kusi. My kol asur and love of a kol. Ilema mamziri nisini shasuki v'asufi. They can marry each other. Hatana le'reisha. We learned at the beginning of the Mishnah. Shemamzer nisini shasuki v'asufi mutar love zebazeh. V'su Rav Yehuda Oyser. That which we said Rav Yehuda prohibited. Hayah. Ilema avadon besfeikin, that a vadai mamzer cannot marry a sofek. How many tani sefer of Eliezer oimer vadon bevadon mutter vadon besfeikin oser. Michlal Rav Yehuda lo svirle. He must argue with Rav Eliezer. The chitei mesh Rav Yehuda oiser ager b'mamzeres. Maybe his distinction that he prohibits a ger from marrying a mamzeres. Midi ger b'mamzeres k'tonit is not mentioned here. Kol asur lavo b'kol ktani. Now, ger is not asur b'kol. Okay, we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll learn at 7:30.